Shocking updates from the court case between Ripple and the SEC, as the SEC is asking for a mind-boggling sum of $2 billion. Just unprecedented. I got some quotes from former regional director Mark Fagel. We'll break down what he thinks about this and discuss a little bit. But before we delve into that whole mess, there's some interesting stuff here, but let's circle back to the AMM amendment, where of course it went live and then they had to tell everyone stop using it. There's a bug, there's some issues. And while this is a very serious issue that needs, maximum attention, speed, and precision to fix, and I had some, unpleasant opinions about the whole situation, I still have to reiterate, I'm excited about this functionality. I think it's vitally important. When we look at the XRP ledger and what Ripple's trying to do with on-demand liquidity, at least from what we saw from MoneyGram, and that's the only publicly traded company where we can look at their financials, it's clear that market makers, the fees are too much to really get this thing to scale. And we saw that in those financials. Millions of dollars in a quarter, they had to, reimburse MoneyGram for those costs. And whether they pivoted to SMEs or you're working with an institution, I'm not sure that changes much. You still have a market maker. You have double the currency transactions. You have to go from one fiat currency into XRP, send the payment, and then pay another fee to get out of XRP and into your new fiat. It's a lot of additional transactions. I think there's a lot of cost there, and that's really been a drag on everything. Beyond that, every exchange, every market has a little difference in price. Sometimes it could be quite a bit in crypto. By moving this all on chain, you're going to have a global liquidity hub for pricing, so that should help smooth out those price differences. And you're going to take a lot of those fees we're paying to market makers and reduce it in a significant way. Now, yes, we'll have to pay people for putting their funds in these liquidity pools. Don't do that until it's safe and it's proven so. Be very careful. But once you can, I think we'll dramatically lower costs. We'll smooth out pricing with this global hub of liquidity. And it just makes a lot of sense. It's the next step forward. And it's great for Ripple on-demand liquidity and for the rest of us that may want to use the ledger for any number of purposes. It should all be done on chain, at least as much as we can. And this is also a more reliable system. You don't have to rely on counterparties and centralized exchanges and market makers. It all can just function on chain in a decentralized manner, and that's the way we should be building anyhow when we're building cryptocurrency systems. Now, the only caveat I have here, we've seen a lot of things, exciting things launch and not work out. I'm not going to, say 100% that they'll get this thing done properly and it'll be a raging success, but I think we have a good chance, mainly because I think Ripple really needs this for their business, and they would be incentivized to try to make this thing work and support it to their best efforts. We'll sit back, watch this play out. It's a big task, but if it gets done right, I think a lot of these use cases now open up and they're actually financially viable. Yeah, part of the problem is regulations, especially here in the United States, but that's not the case everywhere. There's a lot of places in the world where we know we can use cryptocurrencies for payments, specifically XRP. You still don't see this system dominating there, and a big reason why I believe is the cost. We got to get those costs down. We've seen it in those MoneyGram financials. It ain't so cheap using market makers to send XRP payments. This could be a game changer. Let's hope they get it done. All right, the SEC, we haven't seen their filing yet, their logic, their reasoning, but we do know the number. Ripple released it, and they're looking for $2 billion in fines and penalties here. Absolutely outrageous. Of course, there were about $700 million in unregistered securities transactions. How many of those were actually sourced in the U.S. and would be under, the SEC's jurisdiction? That we don't exactly know, but this isn't a case of fraud. This isn't a case where anyone's coming forward and saying, I was financially harmed. I was, scammed by Ripple. Like, to be that high is outrageous. And we see Mark Fagel, again, former SEC regional director, saying that's an absurdly high number, and they won't get anything close. Presumably, they are aiming high, hoping to split the baby type of result, but I don't see that happening. To me, they went so high, I think they're going to agitate this judge. Now, I'm no, legal professional here. We'll have to see it play out, see what the other attorneys think. But, I think that could be counterproductive when you're just absolutely ridiculous with what you're asking for. When your conduct in this court case has been outrageous at times, what we've seen in other court cases where you're just being vindictive and trying to damage the opposition, I don't think this is a good look to ask for $2 billion. Now, Mark followed up and said this: I assume we'll see the calculations tomorrow, and I want to see those. But I don't see the base for disgorgement on post-plaint conduct, though it could be a factor into a penalty. And that line right there, post-complaint conduct, is the one thing that makes me pause and say, you know what? The SEC just did this sweep, and they were given a lot of records of transactions Ripple did post-complaint. Is there something there that is so awful, so, vile, that would make them think that this would even be a possible penalty or disgorgement that they could get? Did Ripple do something post-complaint that would lead, the SEC to have some ground here? My gut feeling on this is no, that from the SEC's prior conduct here, this is probably just some ridiculous ask, but we don't know until we see those docs tomorrow. How did they come up with these calculations? Why are they going for such an obscenely high number? Mark Fagel seems to think that this number is absurd, again, just from an overview, from all the public information we know. Is there something here that's cooking that's going to be really bad? Honestly, I can't imagine what would be $2 billion bad anyway, but I guess we will find out tomorrow. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.